Renaissance Street, all is well? And all is in divine order. I'm excited this morning. That makes two of us. I spent the last 3 days what's called freshman move-in. Freshman move-in. And so it's one of those times where you see the union, the bond between parents and their son or daughter playing out in different ways. You see dads bringing in lofts. Does anybody know what a loft is? Those dangerous apparatuses that we put in rooms to create more space. But at the same time, I see moms and dads giving a hug of goodbye, the tears of goodbye. And so I intercepted one parent and said, "How are you feeling?" "I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm sending my daughter off to college, and we have an empty nest." I say, "Where are you from?" "Oh, just down the street, 2 blocks away." But the bond is so strong that 2 blocks seems like a great distance. Maybe we all stand. Today we're at that point where fall begins to creep into your mind, and then that means that winter begins to creep into your mind, and that means end of the year begins to creep into your mind. And the question comes out, what have you done lately? Remember that Janet Jackson song? Oh, I'm with it. Got to bring back the days of UBQs. Uh-oh. But the question is, what have you done lately? And so I want to challenge us today to use our power, our provision, our authority. That's the challenge and the opportunity today, because I want you to close the year strong. How do I want you to close the year? Strong. How about a strong finish, Brett? A strong finish to the year. We don't want to creep into the new year. Remember that Luther Van, creep, 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 creep? You're like, I'm going to charge you for that. But we don't want to creep into the new year. You know, we want to go strong into that new year with a plan. And so today, this is about what I believe. We're still on the 6th principle, and the 6th principle is I ask. Can we say that? I ask. I ask. And we talked about that before. We ask, we seek, we knock. It's a process. It's not just something that we just say. It's a process. And you have to work the process. Ask, seek, knock. But I'm going to challenge you today. Can I challenge you today? Yes. And at the end of this message, will we still be friends? Yes. Will we still be family? Yes. Oh, okay. That's so much love in here. But I want to challenge you on something. Something I've been thinking about. And I was thinking about, are we close enough that I can move my thought into the present and ask you a question? How are you living your life? On that principle, I ask. In that process, I ask, I seek, I knock. Because I believe that most of us, we have not because we ask not, because we act not, and we affirm not. Now, what are you talking about, Reverend Glenn? Most of us don't ask with intentionality, with a directness, with a sense of I know clearly what I want. So we ask not. We act not. We act like we don't have power, like we don't have authority. And so even when we ask, we go back and we negate the ask, which is the faith. We ask on faith, right? We ask the universe to conspire with us, and then we say, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm not ready. We see the gap between what we want and who we think we are currently, but then we negate it because we ask not, and then we affirm not. Because we don't believe that something greater is for us. Maybe we think we're too old. Maybe we think we don't have the resources at hand. Maybe we think we don't have the education, the intellect, the connections. But we negate that process, and so we ask not, we act not, we affirm not. And so I want to get us in this mode of being powerful at all times. Can I trust you to do that? Yeah. Be powerful at all times, not downplay who you are and what you're gifted with. This is where I live, people. And see, I don't listen to the word or read the word with the idea of I'm just gaining knowledge. Now, a lot of people, if they ask you to quote the Bible, they can do it. Psalm 23. I shall not want. So why are we in the spirit of wanting when we can have, do, be anything we want? The Lord has not given me a spirit of. But why do we have a phobia against letting fear go? A phobia of letting fear go. Yeah. Exactly. And so I want us to get in the mode that our thoughts become things, our beliefs become blueprints. Say that with me. Our thoughts become things, our beliefs become blueprints. All right, now let's do an affirmation. This is one of the most powerful affirmations you'll ever affirm about yourself. Anybody got bad feet in here? Corns on your feet, because we're going to be up here for a couple more minutes. That's kind of personal. We family. You got them corns. I got some Dr. Strolls for you. Let's just say this together. Just repeat after me. And say it powerfully. I'm going to unbutton my coat if y'all don't mind. I'm going to spread out. I activate the law of command and call forth the good in my life. I act in a confidence of knowing that surely goodness is mine to have, whole and harness for greater expansion of me. Look at somebody and say, I'm growing. You may be seated. Now, I know we're on the clock because if we don't finish at a certain time, our cars get towed. Ours beats and eats. Another affirmation. Keep it up there, Donnie. Can we put it back up? That affirmation has 5 things in it that are key. Can we dissect that? Can we dissect? Go deeper into this. The activation of the law of command. The law of command, which means our beliefs, our thoughts dictate what we believe. Our beliefs become blueprints. Calling forth the good. See that? I believe in my divine. And what? Okay, now say that again because that's deep. Now let that sink and soak into your mind. Let's say that again. I believe. So we got law of command, We're calling forth our good. Confidence in knowing. See that confidence? Of knowing. What do we know? This goodness is mine to have. This is a very simple lesson today. It's just going to get challenging. Goodness is mine to have, to hold, to harness. Confidence and knowing. There's confidence in knowing that surely goodness is mine to have, to hold, to harness. Goodness to have, to hold, to harness. 3 parts of that, right? You can have something, you can hold something, you can harness something, right? Is it enough just to have something? You possess something, you have it. Because if you don't use it, you can lose it. So, you can hold something. Well, why don't you just hold it? A lot of people hold things that they have knowledge. I know so many people who have degrees, multiple bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, law degree. Then you say, what are you doing with those degrees? They say, I don't know what I want to do. So you invested all this time in acquiring knowledge and skills, and you're just holding on to it. See, everybody wants to say knowledge is what? But knowledge is not power, right? Knowledge is not power until you activate it. And so when you hear someone say knowledge is power, please correct them. That's like the old United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing too. And so we say it. Then the expansion of self. The greater expansion of me. Why do we want to expand? This is going to be the simplest answer, Brett, I've ever came up with. Why do we want to expand? To be more, to do more, to have more. But the real answer is you can't stay where you're at. The universe is moving. And with that movement, it requires you to expand or retract. And so the idea is that we're always constantly in Renaissance Union, we're always expanding. That mind that we're supposed to be able to do more because we have power, dominion, and authority over all things. But there is a part of this law of command that's critical. The law of command is an absolute. It's an absolute. I was talking to one of my friends. Well, I won't say the name, divulge the name. You may know this person. Let's protect their innocence. But they made this decree, this announcement. Yeah, man, I'm giving up drinking. I said, really? Like, it was like, I wasn't questioning it. I was saying, like, really, like excitement, like now's the time. You're making movement on something that's not good for your health, and you've been told that. And now they're getting ready to make a move. And so I just leaned in and said, really? Can everybody say, really? Really, with excitement. And said, well, I'm going to cut back. I'm going to cut back. There's a difference between being all in and just having your toe in the water, totally submerged, energized by the thought if I'm going to do something different. How many times have we thought about doing something different? How many of you are like me, you're guilty of a start and a stop? Raise your hand. A start and a stop. And it's, somebody raising their hand twice. Guilty of a start and a stop. It's common. When we have good intentions, the energy surrounding the intent is there, And we start off out of the blocks strong. Then we get into that turn, which is the change, and we slow up. Psychologists say that's the most dangerous time. It's the time after we declare the intention. We see the vision of where we want to go, but there's a gap. And the most difficult part about that gap is that leaves the thought pattern of I'm wandering, I'm wishing, but I'm still wandering. You ever wish, but you're still wandering? And so in that gap, that's the most susceptible time for relapse. Now that relapse, before you dismiss yourself and say, I'm not on drugs, I'm not on alcohol, that relapse could be anything that you're trying to move away from. That is a habit. It could be an attitude. Things that you do daily, it's just a habit. And so when people ask me, how do I change my life? I say, tell me what you've done with the last 72 hours of your life. Instead of tell me how you're using your time, your talent, and your treasure. And so that gap that we see, that we become susceptible to the idea of a relapse, is very challenging. And see, the law of command, again, to activate this law of command to say I can have, be, and do anything I want, it's absolute again. Saying you can't serve two masters. I'm in, but I'm out. Remember I said you can't be in the world and out the world? You're either choosing which lane will you travel. What will you be committed to totally? The idea of change. If you know me very well, I'm an absolute person. When I'm in, I'm all in. And sometimes it's to a fault. If I say I'm not going to eat it or drink it or do it, that's what I do. And if you tell me there's some prize at the end of the tunnel, that's what I'm striving for. That's what when I was bodybuilding. And they told me, you can't eat this, you can't drink this. All of a sudden, it was cold turkey. All I thought about was winning. And this is the same thing I'm saying if you're talking about your life, when it comes to your health, to your wealth, your relationships, your career. It's an absolute. It's an all-in proposition. If you really want the level of success that you want, that you crave. And so I was wondering about this principle and the step in the mastermind principle. I simply ask in the presence of my mastermind partners. And all I've been doing this year is traveling everywhere with this mastermind journal and every day making notes in it to stay on the road. Because like I told you, life comes fast and furious. And in this mastermind setup that we have, we see people gathering together. And I turn your attention to Luke chapter 5, verse 19. It's a very interesting story there, where you see there this man who was paralyzed, and his friend is trying to get him in to see Jesus. But there's a crowd there. And so it becomes difficult to get him up front to where Jesus notices him. And so they can't. And so that scripture part I want to say, when they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, they what? They went up to the roof. Where's the roof? It's higher. They went higher. And they removed the tiles from the roof. But my question to you, What are you dealing with today? What's the thing that has you kind of paralyzed, stuck in space, in time? What's the thing that you really want to manifest away from? What is it? And so if we put you in that scenario, when they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, and we all get caught up in crowd speak, right? The crowd is doing this, and all of a sudden, we just forget about self and what we really want, and we go with the crowd. How many people have not stood up and said, I'm going against the grain? I'm going against the crowd. That's most of us. Most of us won't just stand up and say, I think there's something better for us or for me. And so if you had that thing, when they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, you did what? The thing that paralyzes you. What did you do? What are you doing? Did you stop? Did you quit? Did you pause? What did you do? But in this scenario, the power of the group is that the power said there must be another way. Because where two or more are gathered, there is the presence. And the presence is the power. And the power is the provision. And so they didn't quit. They went up higher. And all I'm asking you to do this morning is to elevate your consciousness, to go higher. Because we all say, well, I thought you were dealing with that issue months ago, years ago. And you say, I tried. Can you say, I tried? I tried. That's what most of us say. I tried. And it becomes the alibi. It becomes our answer for not going higher in consciousness. And all we're saying is when we look at this law of command, with that law, it can be activated. And it's activated by us being one mind, one body, and one spirit. When they could not find a way to do this because of the crowd, they went away from the crowd. And they found the answer. On this Labor Day, one of the things that we have to realize about the art of asking, it still requires labor. Life is a laborious journey. And requiring that labor, sometimes we face the resistance of our life patterns, the behaviors that we've had for so long. But life will put you in a situation where you have to do PT. Anybody in here ever did PT? Ever did PT? Physical therapy? But there's a different kind of PT. Huh? Personal time? My son messing up. But PT is not physical time. It's not prayer time. Because after you do the prayer, there's still this gap between the prayer and the manifestation of what you are prophesizing. So the PT is the perseverance test. The perseverance test. From the prayer to the manifestation, it's about perseverance. Can you weather the wilderness? Can you weather wandering? Can you weather not knowing when it's going to happen? The thing about us is that we become so spoiled because everything we buy now, it has instructions on it. And it tells you constantly, doesn't? Put in oven for 2 minutes, open oven flip it over, and cook 2 more minutes. And we got used to that, right? It's just like the restaurants, isn't it? Hot now. That's the way we want everything. Hot now, fast. But what happens when you put out the prayer call and you're waiting for the manifestation and you don't know when it's going to happen? It's that perseverance time that tests us. Who knows what I'm talking about when I talk about PT as perseverance time? Raise your hand. That time, I started the project, but I don't know when it's going to be completed, when I have all the resources. I got the diagnosis, I got the medicine, but I don't know when the medicine is going to kick in. That's life. It's PT. It's a perseverance test. That's when faith kicks in. And faith provides the fuel that allows us to persevere. That faith that's unyielding. That faith that says, yes, something good's about to happen because goodness is my nature. That's where we have to live, in that faith moment. So PT, it doesn't matter what your education level is. Doesn't matter how spiritual you are. Doesn't matter how gifted you are. Doesn't matter how talented you are. Doesn't matter how passionate you are. Doesn't matter how loving you are. Life gives you the perseverance test. And it asks you, how strong is your faith? After all the miracles you've seen in your life, how strong is your faith? When you're feeling that sense of being tired, when you're broke, when you're frustrated, you're sick, can you hold on to your faith a little while longer? See, the idea is not necessarily to try harder. It's to try higher. And that trying higher involves a higher level of consciousness, a connection, a concentration on all that you've heard about the goodness, the mercy, the grace of God. If you can hold on to your faith and hang out with your faith, the doors of opportunity will open for you and you begin to manifest at a higher level. I want us to do an affirmation. So I want you to understand the wholeness of you and that everything that you need is inside of you. You are perfection. And when you understand that perfection is you, there'll be no wanting for anything outside of you. You'll understand that the law of command is at your hand. And with that law, you command your thoughts. You command your feelings. You command your actions. You command your behaviors to do the will that's in sync with the universe. God, the mastermind. Can you repeat after me? Perfection. Perfection. Perfection is already accomplished. I do not have to wait for the perfect life. I am the perfect life here and now. Today, I manifest my completion in every part of me. Today, I take command of the law of command. And so it is. Renaissance Unity, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.